Y'all know me, I'm Dr. B, and this is the buzz on your baby's eye color. Eye color, whether it's blue, green, or brown, all depends on one pigment, melanin, the same pigment that's in your skin. The final color of a baby's eyes is determined by multiple genes and depends on two main factors. One, the amount of melanin that the eyes get, and two, the surface structure of the iris, the colored part of the eye. If the eyes have less melanin, you generally get blue eyes. Lots of melanin, you'll get browner hues, darker hues. And a medium amount of melanin, well, you get some greenish hues. Blue, green, and brown are the major colors, but there are some very rare eye colors like amber or copper, and those come from having a slightly different kind of melanin. This color is very rare, so sorry to the few amber-eyed people out there. We're actually going to talk mostly about green, brown, and blue today. So the big question, what color are my baby's eyes going to be? Most babies do start out with very light or blue eyes. It's a very pretty color. It's a very popular color. So a lot of people want them to stay that way. So we get this question all the time. And sometimes it is a little hard to predict what they're going to be. This here is a common chart floating around the internet, and it even has little percentages on there, so it looks very scientific. This chart isn't a bad place to start, but like all things in medicine, determining the final eye color is not that simple. It doesn't work that way because remember we said light depends on the amount of melanin, but light reflects from the iris based also on the surface structure on the iris, the little hills and valleys and furrows on the surface of the iris. That's not strictly genetic. There is some randomness, some random chance involved there, just like with fingerprints. So this is why identical twins may actually have slightly different colored eyes. It's not just a matter of one color beating out another, so you may see some variations. This chart isn't entirely wrong. It's just that it doesn't work that simply every time. Now, there are four main things that I definitely can tell you about baby's eye color and how eye color is determined and how it's going to change. Number one, most babies do start with very little melanin in their eyes. And so the eyes will be usually light or light gray or maybe a light blue color when they're born. As they age, they do get more melanin. Sometimes they don't get much more at all and they stay blue, or they get a little more and they turn green, or they get a lot more and they turn brown. Number two, it can take up to 2 full years for all that melanin to come in. So if you ask me what color your baby's eyes are going to be, I can definitively tell you at the end of 2 years. The number three thing I can tell you with certainty about eye color, eyes never lighten during childhood. They only darken. You can go from blue to green to brown, but you can't go backwards. There is one exception, and that's in older people. As you age, sometimes the eyes will fade a little bit. My eyes, for example, used to be dark green, and now they're blue. This one's actually a little bluer. This one's a little more green. So that can happen over time. It doesn't mean there's a disease, I hope, but that can be a normal part of aging. And finally, number four, melanin in the eyes is the same pigment as melanin in the skin. So as a general rule of thumb, if the parents are lighter skinned and both have light or blue eyes, their baby will likely have blue eyes. If the parents are darker skinned and both have darker or brown eyes, their baby will likely have brown eyes. This should be pretty self-evident. If one parent has lighter skin and one has darker skin, well, then it's going to be kind of hard to predict and depends on how much melanin the child gets. Of course, there are striking exceptions, such as this youngster with these shockingly blue eyes, and I think that's just one of the random things that makes humans beautiful. The last thing I want to talk about is unusual eye coloring. Heterochromia means there's more than one eye color, and there are several forms. Complete heterochromia means that each eye is a different color. This is often seen in animals, like in this Siberian husky, but it can happen in humans as well. Most of the time, this is completely benign, but about a quarter of the time, it can be due to trauma or from genetic disease, like in this patient with something called Waardenburg syndrome. And there's sectoral heterochromia, where one eye is more than one color, and this is actually fairly common. And the final kind of heterochromia is central heterochromia. That means that there's one ring of color around the pupil, and there's other colors in the outer iris. Again, that's not uncommon. Sectoral and central heterochromia are almost always benign. And finally, let's talk about albinism. People with albinism generally have a complete lack of melanin, so they have very fair skin, like you can see in this gentleman here, and they lack melanin in the eyes. So you can see that the irises on this patient are super pale blue, just as you'd expect. The discussion of eye colors is, to me, fun and fascinating, and sometimes we can give you some insight. Not too much insight. It's a little hard to predict sometimes. But if you ask me, I'll give you my honest opinion. But I'll tell you, I think all the variations are beautiful, and you just got to be patient. Wait those 2 years, and I'm sure it's going to look great. Well, y'all know me. I'm Dr. B, and this has been The Buzz on Parenting and Pediatrics. We'll see you next time.